Howdy everyone, he almost beat Voltage, and 4 years ago, I ended up starting to write a story called Voltage's Adventures, which featured a lot of OC characters that were all unique and all had different personalities. And over the last 4 years, I actually have been continuing to do that, and give my characters more and more personality and change what they do. And I've also done a few other things with those characters. I've been watching One Binge a lot recently, where they put characters of their own that the characters from different series into Squid Games, and I decided that with me having 44 different characters that are unique to Voltage's adventures, I decided I may as well give them a try for Squid Games. So I ended up putting all 44 of my characters into a Squid Game simulation of what I think would happen for each round, and I decided to make it. I'm gonna make it into a video. And I also had some help with decisions for some of this stuff with a friend of mine named Reg Joshua, who is also one of the competitors in the Squid Game because, yeah, he also had a Pokemon of his made for him. So I plan on making this into a reality, if possible, like making a video on it. So yeah, I'm gonna start from the very beginning with all the characters, and like I said, I got 44 entering it in all, and I'm gonna be doing them all in their most previous form of what they had in the story. So for characters, and I also label them like on what kind of affiliations they have with each other, like if they're teammates or in a guild or that kind of stuff. So that means that some people would be more willing to work together with others than the others are willing to work with others. Like say for example, Pitch, entrant number 15. He is a main villain of the story of mine, and he's most certainly not a good guy. So let's just start with these characters. First entry is Thundertail, and Alolan Raichu, the Guildmaster of the Skyward Guild. Spyro, who actually was a cross character from the Spyro games. I ended up bringing him to my story, and he's a part of Lothric's guild, which is Lucario. Jared is a Vulpix from Thundertail's guild. Sparkage, he's one of the main characters. He's a part of Charm from Lothric's guild. Pixel is a Shadow Vulpix, capable of using Shadow Magic, and is also part of Lothric's guild. Celeste is a Snivy, which is a custom one, who has very little combat experience and panics pretty easily, which is a death sentence for a few of these games. Phantom is Mars Shadow Chaos' advisor, a close friend. Elegance is a Gardevoir, part of Lothric's guild. Vortex is Eve's partner. Lothric's guild. Martina is a Skitty, and the part of Tusk. Mitch is a Trico, part of Thundertail's guild. Tusk is actually partner of Martina. Those two both are actually part of Thundertail's guild as well. Sniv, Eve, both those two are, of course, main characters from the past. You guys, if you see this, you know about them. Eve's Vortex's partner. Sniv technically has no real partner. Then there's Zor. Zor's a Zora who, in the past, technically died and is a spiritual watcher now. So I'm using her spiritual entity form. Then we've got Dante, Firefly, Celine, Asteroid, Tom, Toothless, Yoshi, Chaos, Rage, Rex, Hiccup, Xena, Legacy, Voltage, Charm, Pauline, Infinity, Delta, Lucas, Virax, Orion, Victory, Lothric, Leo, Storm, Hydra, Igneous, and Felix. And I'll just start on the real thing. Round 1, the first limit would be Suzaku, because she's extremely competitive and hard-headed, and most likely she would not listen to the relay and not care, and instantly get eliminated. And those who will most likely freak out, Mitch, he's out. Celeste are also out. Jared is out. Xena and Legacy are also out. And eliminated due to other reasons. Phalanx, since in the last part of the story, but like the most recent part, he was possessed by Pitch. I see Pitch most likely just getting him out. Just due to having him take control for like 5 seconds, or just making Phalanx move and get him out automatically. And Astrid is one of the ones I was a bit concerned about, because she isn't super experienced on being a Charmander. Her tail flame would get caught, most likely getting her out of the game. So yeah, Astrid is officially out of the game, making it so there's only 38 people remain. And next would be Honeycomb, and, well, the water types, and the psychic types, and the people who use weapons. They are all basically automatically safe, because they would be able to use their natural abilities to just make it so they're done with ease. Okay, so now let's be honest. Hydra, he's a Hydreigon. How is he gonna cover Cookie? Virax is a Luxray. He is massive, and he's not gonna carve a Cookie. Tusk, he'd most likely want to help Martina, but he would take too long to finish his as well, which means he's eliminated. Zor, she's a spiritual entity. She can't hold the needle. She's out. And I ended up accidentally making it so Jared was in this next round, but even then, he's eliminated due to having a bad temper, so he's out again. Yoshi, Spyro, and Toothless, you may think that since, well, Yoshi would eat the cookie, and Spyro and Toothless have no really real paws and that kind of stuff, but they would be able to move because they have allies who want to help them. Hiccup would help Toothless, most certainly. Eve, Firefly, and Dante would be able to help. Eve, Firefly, and Delta all have people who help them out. Delta is a water type, but he's a Froakie, which means he wouldn't be able to easily carve the cookie. Firefly is a Shinx, who is not as capable as Lucas, because Lucas is generally really smart in what he does in the story. So I'd see him making it through that with ease. So yeah, but Thundertail has allies willing to help him. Storm and Lucas are extremely skilled and patient enough to advance. Those two were the ones who are also four-legged, would have trouble, I think. Celine knows Psychic and would advance easily as well. And that means that into the next round, only 33 made it. And there'd be teams of 5, but so that would mean 3 were supposed to get eliminated. But the most likely teams would be Chaos, Voltage, Eve, and Vortex. Eve, Vortex, Sniv would make it through easily. Sparkage, Charm, Igneous, Delta, Pixel. Lothric, Lucas, Elegance, Dante, and Storm. Thundertail, Martina, Celine, Tom, Pauline. Yoshi, Toothless, Hiccup, Spyro, Ridge. Firefly, Ulra, and Leo, and Infinity in Victory. That'd mean that Phantom, Rex, and Pitch would not have a team, but let's just be honest. Pitch would threaten the guards, and well, they would want their necks to be turned into Slinkies, so they'd allow them to go into the game and enter themselves anyway. So Chaos's team is well-rounded and with extremely talented and diverse members. They pass with ease, as does Charm's team with Pixel only struggling a bit. Lothric's team wins with ease. Firefly's team slides by with ease. Yoshi's team does struggle, but in the end, due to Spyro having access to his Pokemon form, they do advance as well as Thundertail's team, with Pauline struggling a bit with Martina. Pitch's team slide by as well, doing one of the most diverse teams of the entire thing, honestly. Now, literally everyone survived that round means there's 33 people moving on to mingle. But let's be honest, with 33 left, there will be a lot getting eliminated. Pitch takes out Martina, Pauline, and Leo as victims due to them being shoved out of the way, because he is ruthless and would most certainly kill people like that, like Eve. Lucas, Voltage, Chaos, and Sniv, those ones would most likely work together because they're all smart. Toothless, he's eliminated due to being extremely big and having trouble finding a room with higher numbers when drawn. Victory is eliminated due to sacrificing themselves, along with Thundertail, Delta, Elegance, Spyro, Charm, and Oran, pushing both their parties into a room and around before failing to get in one themselves. Oran would most likely prioritize saving Firefly, as would Charm. Spyro, he's very heroic and would most certainly sacrifice himself to save others who are left in the running, like Sparkage or Lucas. Anyone who he sees, he would most likely want to save. Which means everyone else moves on. 11 died in that game. Next is Game 5, Hide and Seek. And as of right now, half the people in the story are dead. And so the people left are Sparkage, Pixel, Phantom, Vortex, Sniv, Eve, Pitch, Dante, Firefly, Celine, Tom, Yoshi, Chaos, Ridge, Rex, Hiccup, Voltage, Infinity, Lucas, Lothric, Storm, and Igneous. Everyone will split into teams, into even teams, getting time to swap roles if they want to. Seekers can't attack each other, or they will be eliminated. If a Seeker does not find a hider, they are also eliminated. So this was a bit hard to figure out, but I ended up using like how they would like their friendships and like how bloodthirsty they are and who would should be. And I decided the hiders would be Sparkage, Voltage, Sniv, Storm, Lucas, Celine, Tom, Ridge, Eve, Vortex, and Firefly. While Pitch, Chaos, Phantom, Pixel, Hiccup, Yoshi, Rex, Dante, Lothric, Infinity, and Igneous would most likely be the hunters. Sparkage, Voltage, Sniv, and even Vortex would all 5 stay together, most likely working together. Celine would get tracked down by Lothric and accept the honorable duel, which Lothric would most likely win that one, because he's a guild master and he's really experienced in combat compared to Celine. Pixel would attempt to track down Tom, attempting to fight him, but Tom is actually surprisingly better and eliminates Pixel from the running. Rex runs into Firefly, glancing at him before shaking his head. Just because your partner was a Charmander, I'll let you go. That in the end led to Rex not finding someone, which means Rex is eliminated. Infinity would most likely not kill anybody, and would take and she took the role to prevent Voltage and his other friends from taking the thing. And she would most likely just leave the arena because she's a celebrity. Now, Pitch would most likely track down Voltage's group, knowing he has to kill one of them to separate them. And well, Voltage, along with helping Sniv and Phantom, who came from behind and stabbed Pitch in the back, well, stabbed a fist in his back before Voltage put his axe into Pitch's head, eliminating Pitch. Then Phantom sinks in the ground, also eliminated because he attacked another Seeker. That means that those two are both done. Yoshi most likely would end up coming across Tom and taking out Tom to make it so that Tom's done. And Dante would track down Firefly along with Chaos encountering Ridge because Chaos would easily be able to find someone. And well, I see Dante and Firefly end up fighting each other, but Dante would not be able to make that win, unfortunately, in time with 3 minutes left. And Ridge just, well, he gets knocked out of the fight guaranteed by Chaos because she just makes him warp away from the arena. And Igneous and Hiccup, they didn't find someone or would not kill anyone. Luke is just far too crafty and would not be found. And Storm would not be killed by basically anyone, which makes those two also advance with pretty big ease. So, yeah. Sparkage, Voltage, Sniv, Storm, Lucas, Eve, Vortex, Firefly, Chaos, Lothric, and Yoshi all made up to the next round, which is Jump Rope. Which they just have to jump across the platforms and not fall off the thing by their jump rope. Let's be honest. It's super easy. If they lose this, then that's a problem. And literally no one here is a bad guy left in the story when they're left in the fight, because all these people have either done heroics or are straight up heroes. Besides Firefly, but Firefly knows to just stay in the radar at this point. Next is the Sky Squid Games, which they all start on the Square Tower. Lothric, with his honor code as a guild master, would most likely say Chaos is in charge of the guild, and would just step back off the platform, taking himself out, because he's the guild master, and everyone left is a guild member, and he'd most likely, as his code of the guild master, sacrifice himself for everyone else. So the 10 left move to the Triangle Tower, and Chaos would most likely say, I assume everyone has agreed that Storm's living in this. Because, yeah, Storm's only 9 technically in the story, because this is actually Tedway's character, and I don't own Storm myself, because it was made by one of my friends, but he'd let me use it for my story. And Yoshi would most likely be willing to just take himself out because he's really nice. And he also knows that Chaos can just warp him out of there. So yeah, Yoshi's out, but warped away and saved by Chaos. And the last person, there were a few options here who would most likely take themselves out. Lucas says, look, someone else would have to be eliminated, and I know no one wants to do it, especially not me after I made it this far, by dominating everyone with help. Firefly, I already lost Orin and Sparkage, lost already Charm. We all lost something by this point. We know that one of us has to go to make it so it wins. And Chaos, well, she ends up taking herself up just by teleporting away. So, yeah, we have 8 remaining winners. Sparkage, Voltage, Sniv, Eve, and Vortex. 5 of the main characters of Voltage Adventures. Lucas, one of the more crafty characters. Storm, who mostly stood on the radar just by being super young and super kind to everyone who she got in contact with. Firefly, that was one of the more surprising ones, who just made it through just to also slide under the radar for most of the rounds, and due to the sacrifice of Oren and Mingles, why they moved on. That's the main reason why they won. And just due to them being smart enough in hide and seek. So yeah, congratulations to those 8 for winning the Squid Games. But I'm going to call that here, so bye-bye.